What's up, guys? We're back for another video. We've got Mykel back with me again. This is the
Hey, how you doing?
This is the guy who got us through the War of the Roses in One Piece, and we're back for another. We're back for actually a top 10 list. I haven't done one of these in years. I haven't done a top 10 list since my early days on YouTube, and they were awful. But I still stand by most of my opinion from back then, anyway. So we're doing our top 10 favorite anime today because
which was hard.
we went back. We get into these discussions and we just start going back and forth for hours about, man, that show was really good.
That show was really good.
And then we just get lost in it. So I'm just like, man, we got to do this video. Like we got to sit down and just do this and just get it out there and talk about it so we can just set it in stone and share some of this discussion with you guys.
Yeah, but you did it so freaking easy though. It took me at least like 45 minutes.
Yeah, and the thing about that is you have seen a lot more anime than I have, and you've seen a lot more modern anime than I have. Majority of the anime I've seen is like from between the 90s and the early 2000s. Like I haven't seen a whole lot of anime that's post like 2006. Although a lot of the stuff on this list is actually post 2006. So contrary to that statement, a lot of the stuff that actually made the cut is relatively new, but I'll go ahead and throw this out there right now because I've seen a million of these videos on YouTube, and I gotta say everybody's list is different, and it really depends on what kind of genres you're into, because anime as a medium is difficult to talk about because
it's diverse.
It's just as diverse as American film is, or any other country's film.
Yeah.
When it comes to the types of genres, like it is literally every genre imaginable. You have fantasy, sci-fi, horror, romance, comedy. You have all of that stuff.
Don't forget mixtures between all of them.
And all of it in between.
Yep.
And some genres and topics and subject matter that are even unique to anime, but are not, it doesn't exclude all their content from other mediums. So my stipulations for this list, and this is just the kind of genres that I'm into. So if you guys have a preference or a recommendation or a show that you think is superior, this is 100% opinionated.
Yes.
This is not based on anything other than how we personally feel about it. This is 100% opinionated. My opinion, his opinion. He's into different genres than I'm into.
I'm into every genre pretty much. If it's anime, I'll take it.
Yeah.
In the butt.
Me on the other hand, I don't like your slice of life. I don't like your slice of life shows.
Whatever.
I don't like your shows about sports.
Okay.
Although,
I agree with you there.
although I do see the appeal, and initially it was kind of fun, but but I don't see the appeal. Or I do see the appeal, but I'm not going to include any of those in the list. I don't typically watch them. I don't typically watch any anime that is purely based on comedy or fan service or both.
But those are the best ones though.
And as much as I like a good romance plot, I won't watch a purely romance anime. That's got to be a kind of an acquired taste sort of thing. So those are my stipulations. No slice of life. Nothing that's like super obscure. So most of the. I like Fooly Cooly, okay, but that's actually that's going to be a good discussion point too, because that's a show that grew on me over time. I didn't like it as a kid, but I like it now for a different for a lot of the themes of the show. But anyway, that's not on the list. So we haven't actually shared the order we put this in together, so our reactions are going to be kind of live. We're going to start with 10 and work our way down.
I got my list right here in this little book right here.
So again, most of these shows for me are going to be fantasy or sci-fi or mysteries. That's about it. Like, or some mecha shows even thrown in there, and that's about it. Like those are my genres. That's what I go to anime to try to consume, is like fantasy, sci-fi, stuff like that. That's just what I'm into. Like I know that seems shallow, but if I'm looking for a different type of story, I won't go to anime to try to find it. Is usually just how I end up conducting myself. So, all right, we're gonna go ahead and start. I have my list right here. So number 10.
You go with yours first.
My number 10 was Zoid's Chaotic Century. And
okay.
The reason why it was hard to force that to the number 10 spot, because that was a anime that was very influential for me when I was younger. It was one of those mech shows that was so striking to me, because I was like, it's like Gundam, but not. In the fact that they're four-legged mechs and they're animals, and the design was striking at first. And then we get into the story and the lore. And I talked about this in I'm a big fan of Zoids. You can tell by all the model kits I have, the multiple Zoids Let's Plays that I've done. and just my knowledge of the franchise. But I talked about this in the Battle Legends Let's Play, where I said I feel like Chaotic Century, even though it's my favorite Zoid series, was robbed of a lot of potential because they took so much of the lore and the background of what's going on in the world away from it and just focused on some of the main characters. And I feel like there's a fascinating overarching story going on there with the conflict and the war that's actually going on that we don't even get to see or hear about. But aesthetically, it's really cool. Like, you have all the characters that have like little facial tattoos with little colors on them and stuff like that. Like, very stylistic.
It's really cool.
Just a very it's a show from before I got into anime as a young adult that still holds up if I rewatch it today.
Is it on to me?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, first of all, I want to first say that most of the anime that I choose are based off of the various types of feels that I feel and how much of each feel that I do feel. So it's like, what scale of how many feels I have, and then how much did I feel it, pretty much. So, number 10, because I like to cry like a little bitch, is Angel Beats.
Oh, no.
Because I think that's probably one of the first ones that, like, really made me feel, like, emotional, but, like, it's kind of like to me, it's kind of like a tragic love story, pretty much. Even though it didn't start out that way.
Oh,
but
full disclosure, spoilers. Spoilers, because
we say that now.
If we really want to talk about the nitty gritty of why we love these series, we're gonna have to spoil it.
So sorry if you didn't see any of these anime. Next time I say an anime, I'm gonna say it. If you haven't seen it and you want to watch it, skip, because I'm gonna say some stuff about it. But because even though Angel Beats didn't start out originally as a love story, it just kind of like, I don't know, like after a while, it's like, man, he's really going to love this character. Man, this love is starting to bloom. Oh shit, they can't be together. Oh shit, she's gone. Oh. Tears.
Yeah, so I've not seen this show.
Oops.
But I've been told wonderful things about it. I've been told it's a field trip, and
it's a field trip.
It's a giant soggy bowl of Honey Nut Filios, and so maybe one day I will watch it, but I don't really have a solid opinion of it formulated one way or the other.
Yeah, but you don't cry that much either, though.
No, we'll get to the anime that I did cry on later.
Wait a minute, you've cried before?
I'll talk about that. We'll talk about that as we get to it.
Okay. So feels.
Yeah.
But that's only one feel, so that's why it's only at number 10.
Yeah.
So
number 9 for me is Gurren Lagann, and
fair enough.
Gurren Lagann actually makes in a lot of people's number 1 spots. Gurren Lagann is a very talked about show, but it's not perfect. Obviously, one of the glaring issues that it has some animation, especially in the early episodes, that's painful to sit through. But
it's kind of why I didn't really care to watch.
Talk about, and the mecha designs are weird. Like, it almost feels like, as much as I love mecha as a genre, this show seemed disconnected from its identity as a mecha show right from the beginning. But talk about a show that, and I once tried to describe the plot of Gurren Lagann to somebody, big mistake. Because you cannot describe the plot of Gurren Lagann to somebody.
One does not simply do that.
Because this is a show that takes its premise and completely turns it in on its head within the first episode. But man, does it get your attention. And it just keeps doing that all throughout. Like the first maybe 10 episodes, the pacing and the where they're going with the arc has changed like 10 times over. The first episode, you realize that it's a society of people that lives in tunnels underground and they never see the surface.
Yeah.
The surface is hostile, and then immediately you get this massive mech that comes crashing down through the ceiling into their cavern. They fight it off, and then they acquire their own mech and go to the surface on their own. So in the first episode, you have this premise of them kind of living their life underground, and all of a sudden, by the end of the episode, they've completely turned that in on its head. They're already on the surface, and they're already, fighting for survival amongst all the other mechs up there. But then it goes on and on and on.
Yeah, it's kind of like comfort zone. I feel like that's kind of like a theme.
It's a fish out of water story, and it's a coming of age story about the main character because he goes through so much at such a young age and deals with a lot of emotions. Sexuality plays a big part in his self-discovery, as well as courage. No, like as far as like, I mean, he might be. Who knows? But he does end up with a girl. Spoilers, but just his whole coming of age, and it's almost like Shinji Ikari's dilemma from Evangelion, but done right, because he actually does become stronger, and he gets up off his ass and gets in the fucking robot and does what he's supposed to do. And by the end of it, like the show is so empowering and so inspiring, just because the whole premise of their ability to fight is just based on pure desire and fighting spirit. It's so inspiring. It's hard to describe unless you know like the themes of the last arc of the show. So, you go ahead with your number 9.
Okay, so my number 9 is none other than Blood Plus.
Yes.
Yes, Blood Plus, because when I was younger, when I was like just getting into anime, even now at a young age, because like I was like watching like all the young shows, like those like more so geared towards like kids, and stuff like that. So it's like, I like it now. I may get over it later, because that's what a lot of adults say.
You hadn't had a real taste of mature.
Yeah, and then Blood Plus came along, and man, did that turn my world upside down when I first started watching anime. Bruh. Okay, so really, Blood Plus, it was just one of those things where I started, because it was an adult film if I'm not mistaken. And like I just started watching it, and I was just so immediately engaged because of the fact that like it was just really about this girl who's just really trying to like learn about herself, because Saya had amnesia when she first started. So I was like, man, I wonder if she's ever gonna learn who she is. And then like suddenly like all this crap started happening with like demons. I forgot what they're even called now. The freaking oh my god, just all the like demons that started coming up. And all this stuff, and you just kind of see her just being like,
Right.
But just kind of going along with it, and just learning about her own abilities and about who she is and all that stuff. And it's really more so the side characters that actually really started making me fall in love with it. Like Kai and his little brother are like the most adorable like set of like brothers I've ever seen. And
very striking art style with this show.
Yeah.
I haven't actually seen it, but I have seen Blood the Last Vampire, which is the first like adaptation of this franchise from the novel. But I haven't seen Blood Plus the series.
Yeah, Blood Plus is definitely good. Definitely a lot of feels with different characters that like wound up, spoilers, dying. I'm not saying who actually dies, but there's a lot of different characters who just wound up dying. Like, you actually kind of feel bad for it, even like the villains who kind of come in, and it turns out that you just kind of misunderstand them. So like they come back, and like you kind of like, oh wow, they are really good down to earth characters. They just had really bad circumstances, and then nope, they're gone. And then freaking Kaya's little brother. Soul. That poor soul.
No.
That poor baby. He didn't deserve none of this. Oh my god. And then really the thing that really struck me was the fact that like Saya didn't have that long to stay awake at all, because like I believe she's asleep for 50 years and she's asleep for 50 years and she's awake for 2. So that's why she actually wound up losing her past memories, because she had just woken up. So she doesn't have like no memories at all. And when you finally learn like everything that winds up happening with her in her life, she has to go back to sleep again. It's like she never really got a chance to really have a family. Like she was adopted, she never really got a chance to have a family or anything. So it's kind of tragic that by the end of it, her family's either gonna be like really old or they're gonna be dead by the time she wakes back up.
Yeah, it's
again.
like she never had that chance to even connect with them.
Yeah, she really didn't, and that was just really sad. That also made me have feels. So it's a different type of feel from Angel Beats, because it's like a feel like it's more like a tragic. Well, I guess Angel Beats was kind of like a tragic film. It was just more intense. So more feels of that feel. So that's why it is number 9.
All right,
Pretty much.
so number 8. My number 8 is Tiger and Bunny.
Okay.
So,
I love Tiger and Bunny.
Tiger and Bunny was. I remember when I first. I remember when I first saw this show being announced and the season came out, because it was released in like 2011, I believe, and I thought the name was silly, and I was like, "What is this show about? Like, this has got to be some kind of comedy, right?" And then a friend of mine was like, "You have to watch this show. This show is incredible." And talk about like talk about like a parody or even like a satire of superheroes, because yes, it dabbles in all the cliches and tropes at the beginning, but then you realize the whole thing is heavily corporatized. It's very sleazy and shady.
Yeah.
It's all pretty in front of the cameras, and behind the scenes, it's like crumbling apart because, you know, you have a city that is built for the intended purpose to house a televised superhero show. So you have like crime being caused on purpose to perpetuate the show. And so the premise was interesting. It was very, very unique in terms of design for an anime. There's not any other anime out there that looks like this show does. But the biggest thing that got me was the characters. Because, especially Kotetsu. Because he's such, like, the main thing is season 1 establishes the premise and the characters, but you can mostly turn your brain off for season 1 until like the last arc with the boss.
Yeah.
The final boss of season 1. You can pretty much turn your brain off for season 1, and then season 2 happens.
Yeah.
And season 2 is well written. It cranks up the drama to 11, and it really puts these characters in challenging situations that you never thought they'd be in, and it really lets them their finer characteristics shine. So you have Kotetsu, who is very like I do not envy this guy. Like, the poor guy. This is not even a spoiler. He lost his wife. He's a single father, and he's trying to make ends meet and take care of his only daughter. And he's just, you know, he's getting up there in age, and he's just kind of a washed out superhero, and nobody likes him anymore. He's the laughing stock. He's the butt of the joke all the time. Yeah. And then his partner he gets paired up with is this young and cocky guy, Barnaby.
Did not like him at first. I hated him at first, actually.
And that's to the show's credit. He is cocky and arrogant and not a likable character at first, until you realize his dilemma, where he's actually very insecure. He lost his own parents. And he believes they were murdered, so he's trying to investigate their murder and all that. All the other characters have their own episodes, but they're not quite as interesting as the main duo. But man, season 2, like the drama that those two get into is just incredible.
But can we talk about Fire Emblem now? Fire Emblem, best character by far.
Yeah,
literally the flaming gay one.
Yeah, they were not subtle at all. But
no.
Yeah, so great job by the dub cast as well. Like, Yuri Lowenthal does a great job as Barnaby. Patrick Seitz does a great job as Sky High. Steve Bloom as Jake Martinez in season 1. Phenomenal job. And then Jameson Price as the chairman guy. I can't remember his name.
I forget his name.
Great dub cast. So yeah, that's Tiger and Bunny.
Man. Okay. So number 8. Number 8 is a fairly recent. I believe it came out last year, if I'm not mistaken. And that is Your Lie in April.
Yeah, that was early last year.
Yeah. So Your Lie in April. You kind of already know what's gonna happen. But you know, the thing about that I really like about it is that it really talks about someone who is getting over a past trauma. Because what it is that the main guy, his mom actually wound up passing away from like some sort of sickness or something like that. But like later on in the story, you kind of figure out that like right before that, he like wishes her to die.
Oh.
Because okay, but the thing about it is like his mom like beat him like to make him into the perfect piano pianist pretty much. And he actually was a prodigy because of that. He was known as the human metronome. So he was really good piano player, but his mom kind of beat the lesson into him pretty much.
Yeah,
to be a good piano
she
player.
disciplined him so hard to make him perfect, and then he resented her for it.
Yeah, he resented her for it. Wound up, saying something. He wound up regretting it later. And actually, the trauma was so bad that throughout the show, he was trying to get over the fact that he couldn't. You kind of understand it's more of a psychological thing, but he couldn't hear the keynotes anymore as he was playing. So that was like a part of his trauma, and then. He's just kind of depressed, he's kind of gloomy, and then he winds up meeting this girl. this one girl who lights up his whole world. So you kind of know it's just it's a love story, but even though the main girl wound up, kind of liking his best friend. Yeah. But, they really
unrequited love is a very common theme in Japanese storytelling, and it sucks.
Yeah.
Because they know that that's a way to tug at people's heartstrings, and, yeah.
But the thing that I really liked about this show was the fact that, they really acted their age. Even though, these kids are, 13, 14 years old, but, they're realizing what love is. They don't necessarily...
Kind of like what I said about Gurren Lagann, it's a coming-of-age story where it's a story about self-discovery in a way, yeah.
Yeah, so they're really discovering how they feel about each other, and this whole love triangle wound up going on with the main character's female best friend liking him, but then him liking main girl, and then main girl liking his male best friend.
It's a love pentagon.
It's a love pentagon, pretty much. But, man, okay, yeah, that was this. At the end, someone dies, of course.
Yep.
And, that, even though you kind of knew that it was going to happen, you still kind of feel really, sad and depressed about it anyway. Because it's man, they really just started, kind of realizing how they felt about each other. Main girl started, actually realizing how he felt about main guy. Which I feel so bad for not remembering their names.
You'll watch it again and remember.
Yeah, I'll watch it again. I remember. I should have wrote this down of all the names. This feels kind of stupid.
It'll just come to you one day, we'll be recording another video and be like, eucalyptus.
Mark Zuckerberg.
That's it.
Yes.
So
that was his name.
Yeah.
If you get the reference. Anyway. So yeah, that was pretty feelsy, but that had two different types of feels. It was feels. Again, tragic, the tragic feels, and also it did have a lot of really funny elements, but it wasn't built on its comedy though.
It was probably just lightheartedness to get you attached.
Yeah, it was very lighthearted. It kind of helped the characters become a lot more relatable because the jokes and stuff that they were telling, stuff like this. Little things that you would just say your actual friends, Yeah. So that's what it was funny because it was more relatable. And that's what made you really love the characters, and that's how it really made you feel really bad with one of them dying. And then
So another thing I want to say is that this list is primarily series. If we were to talk about include anime films in this, that'd be an entirely separate video.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that whenever we get around to that. But this is just series.
Anyway.
Yeah. So my number 7 is Cuco Cabecera. So. Everything I said about this show, everything I said about Tiger and Bunny, word for word, is true with this show as well. Because this is a show where no other show looks like it, but season 1, you can pretty much turn your brain off for it.
Who punches the sea and the sea just flows up into the freaking air? I'm trying to censor myself. Freaking air, for several minutes.
Yeah.
And then it just crashes back down like it's a crap ton of rain all at once. It's stupid.
So anyway,
it was funny. It was a good show.
Yeah. Anyway, so season 1 you can pretty much turn your brain off for, and it basically it allows antics to happen. It's fun. It's harmless. It's funny. It sets up the characters and their weird quirks, and there are some reoccurring running jokes in this as well that are trite and tired by the end of season 1, and then season 2 does something you're like, ha, that's funny now because they did it in a clever way.
Yeah.
And so season 2, again, just like with Tiger and Bunny, it takes these characters, puts them in a very dynamically different situation, completely puts them on their heads, and just like, all right, have fun. And it's like, because you have... Now, I went into this having absolutely no knowledge of the actual Sengoku era of Japan's history, the Warring States period in the 1500s, and I had no knowledge of the games that this series is based off of. It was just my friend Wesley, who's probably watching, shout-outs to you, who said, you gotta watch this if you really want to see a good shonen anime, you gotta watch this. That's what he said word for word. And the thing about that is it doesn't actually really meet the criteria for a shonen anime at all, because the majority of the show's fans in Japan are girls. And
I wonder why.
I think there's some...
Man, I wonder why.
There's some subtle fan service there that does appeal to them, but as far as like the shonen aspect of it, great fights. Great fights all over the place, very just stupidly over the top. Like
I was saying.
As over the top as it gets, short of Gurren Lagann or a Dragon Ball series. As over the top as it gets. But anyway, so you have season 1 where the main villain is obviously Oda Nobunaga, because when you talk about Japanese history, that's the go-to villain in all
you can't
fiction.
not have him in.
Yeah, so he's stupidly powerful, but basically they just win by ganging up on him and just bum rushing his castle and beating him in a fair fight. That's how they beat Nobunaga. So then season 2 comes around and it's Toyotomi Hideyoshi. So Toyotomi Hideyoshi, in addition to being stupidly strong, where as you said, the man punches the sea and wins, he's also a tactical genius. And the things that he does, and you really have to rewatch the series to really get some of the brilliance and subtlety with season 2, because he'll do things like he created an insurgence in Masamune's army, which caused him to have an uprising in his cities that he had under his territory. And so Masamune, being an idiot, and then they kidnap Kojiro, who's his tactician who makes all the good decisions for him. And so Masamune splits his army into 3 places, and he gets wrecked. And it's just like, man, to see him just frustrated and completely out of his element when he was such a badass, it's just like, you got screwed. You got outsmarted by the tactical genius over here. So there's stuff like that, and then also when he's recovering from that horrible defeat, Kenshin invites him to a fight on a very particular hill. And when Masamune gets there, and again, I didn't even catch this the first time I watched it. It's subtle. It's kind of nice that you realize that Kenshin brought him there so he would have a self-realization about what that hill like symbolically means. I think it was the hill where he has first loss on, and he's like, "Oh, okay, I got this. Thanks, man." And he just goes off to fight Hideyoshi again. It's like kind of a nice.
Okay.
He's just like, it's basically like Kenshin just being like, "You got this, bro," and that's it. So yeah, like I said, great series. Just if you haven't seen it, turn your brain off for season 1 and then get ready for season 2. If you get attached to the characters and you can get through season 1, season 2 is where it's at.
What about season 3?
That didn't happen.
Well, we're talking about season 3, man. Come on.
Yeah, most of the shows on my list too are 2 seasons or less in general. Zoids was actually the only exception so far, because that was about 60 episodes, but there's one other that's close to that quantity of episodes, but go on.
I already know which one that is. Anyway, number 7 is Magi.
Or Magi, or however you want to say it.
They say Magi in the show, so I'm like,
okay. Alright, go
Magi it is. Okay, so the thing that I really, really, really liked about Magi was it really... First of all, the universe itself is like freaking diverse as a mess, and it was just amazing because like there are so many characters that are from like so many like different areas that are obviously, you know, they're they're based off of like a lot of places here on our actual
different ethnicities and all that.
Yeah, a lot of different ethnicities and stuff like that.
I defy you to find another anime that has like an Arab aesthetic. Like it's very
Yeah.
unique. It's very unique.
It really is very unique, and that's actually what I really liked about it. And also, just everything like the gens and stuff, that was really awesome. But the thing that I really liked about it was the fact that it really touched on the stuff